Have you ever wondered which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, I'll leave that for you and your teacher to decide. So what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about the egg. Now, the egg is pretty incredible. And of course it's edible, but it can also be a lot of things. And you can discuss with your classmates what all kinds of animals lay eggs. Well, we know that birds do. And birds are also called avian. In this case, we're going to be talking about poultry or chickens. Now, you may wonder, do all chickens lay eggs? The answer to that question is certainly yes. In this case, it's the hen. The rooster is the male, the hen being the female who does lay the eggs. And of course, the resulting baby would be the chick. So let's get back to the egg itself. Now, hens lay eggs whether they're fertilized or not. So in other words, whether there's a rooster around or not. The eggs that you may find in your grocery store are probably unfertilized eggs. That means that the hens are by themselves, there's no rooster around, and those eggs will never be able to be turned into baby chicks by incubation. Couple of reasons why is number one, they're not fertilized, so there's only the female's DNA in there. And we know that it takes the male's and the female's DNA in order to be fertilized, in order to develop into an embryo. The other thing is those eggs have been washed and they've also been refrigerated, which would actually render them not able to be incubated as well. This here is an egg that is off of our farm. It is a fertilized egg. And one of the ways that we can tell that is if we see on the yolk, and the yolk is the yellow part of the egg, there is a tiny germ spot. Now that germ spot is present on all eggs. We do see kind of a small circle around the germ spot here, and we know that that is fertilized. Sometimes they'll actually be set up a little higher. Now with the egg, we have, as we mentioned earlier, we have the yolk, and we have the germ spot, which is where the embryo starts to be developed. We also have the thick and the thin albumen, and we see the thick is the kind of a jelly-like substance. The thin is, again, a little bit more watery. We also obviously have the shell, and the shell the color is just determined simply by the breed of the bird. We also we have two different types of membrane. We have this membrane that we see present here in the shell, and that membrane is, I'm not sure whether you can see that or not, that membrane there is actually there to help contain this albumin and keep it from sticking to the shell. We also can see possibly on the end of this shell, now if we would look at this shell together, we can see that one end of this is a more rounded end and then the other is a more pointed end. And the more rounded end of the shell, you're going to find the air sac or the air cell. And we'll talk a little bit about how that is used by the developing baby chick. Now, that will get larger as the chick develops, but it'll also get larger as the egg deteriorates and it gets older. So in an older egg, you're going to see that that air cell is bigger. You're also going to see that this thick and thin albumin gets a lot thinner. So if you know that you break an egg, this one is fairly fresh because the thick albumin is still setting up and the yolk is still setting up right. These were room temperature, so they tend to kind of flatten out a little bit more. But that's a sign of a fresh egg. If that egg spreads out a lot, we know that that's an older egg. So let's get back to our parts here. We've talked about a lot of different ones, but we can see here there are some little faint kind of squiggly lines on either side of the yolk. And what that is, those are called the chalazi. And the chalazi, if you can kind of think of it like as the ropes that would come off of a hammock. And that's going to actually hold that egg yolk into the center of this egg and help to protect the yolk from bursting and actually keeping that embryo there in the center. There is an actual membrane that does cover that yolk as well. So remember, we had a membrane over here, and then we've got a second membrane there covering the yolk. Whenever the chick starts to develop And I'm sure that you and your teachers will talk about how many days it takes for a chick to develop. And that's going to be 21 days. It's not a very long time, but it is going to start here on this germ spot. And you'll start to see, even after a couple days, when you do some candling, you'll start to see those networks start to work in around that. Now, if you're interested in incubating eggs in your own classroom, I would really encourage you to get in touch with your OSU Extension office. Ones here in Scioto County do offer the Chick Quest materials. They do have some very nice books that do include record books and teaching materials, as well as incubators and brooders that will help you with having chicks in your own classroom. For more information, again, contact your local extension office. Thanks and have a good day.